I've not done a Pecha Kuch before, so if I start to panic and it all goes wrong, please be polite and pretend everything's okay. BEFS is the Built Environment Forum Scotland, and it is an umbrella body, an organisation of organisations, the intermediary body for the sector. We began doing small towns work a couple of years ago. We produced a report, and we have a microsite that you can see up there that provides information on small towns elsewhere. We started this because we recognised there was a gap in policy making between the city's focus and the rural focus. Yet small towns, which, as I think Graham said, are really quite significant in Scotland, were underrepresented. And in terms of community empowerment, we haven't done the kind of thing that Rochelle's been talking about, but what we've tried to do is provide a sort of health check list that people can use. And we've gone out into towns and worked this with them. So what it starts with is the importance of the built environment, which again is a theme that other speakers have touched upon. But also we've looked at innovation and the competitiveness of the town, and particularly the strength of its local property markets. And again, in terms of the theme of the day, a lot of the themes of the day, the importance of town centres. We also looked at the social context of the town and emphasised the importance of the schools and of involving people, and again looking with things that have been made that it's very much up to the people themselves to make something of the town rather than rely upon other agencies to do it for them. Also, the checklist took in the environmental dimension, and these are again some of the questions. So basically, we go there with a set of 12 questions and have that as a basis for discussion with stakeholders in the town, usually pulled together by the local council. And these are the towns that we visited, and the towns were chosen not entirely at random, but we had to go to places where people wanted us, but we tried to get a geographical spread and different types of towns in terms of particularly of accessibility and the regional functions of the towns. The output from the exercise is a series of reports. We've done one on each of those 8 towns, and the report is written on the basis of the discussions with the local stakeholders and supplemented by other information that we pulled together, and it's shared with that town and discussed. The ideas behind it were not entirely bottom-up. They come from some research and some reading that we've done, and that excellent book that's on there, I do recommend it to everybody in a very disinterested sort of way. And also we draw upon some international examples in terms of forming the ideas, but then apply the methodology at a local level in a bottom-up and particular way for each of these towns. The underlying message is one that's pretty common now in the literature, that to make things happen, you need this combination. You need the role of government, you need business involved. Academic involvement helps, but also involvement by civil society, by local people, is a key ingredient. So the messages that we've come up with are that the historic environment is extremely important, that it's a key part of the fabric of our towns. It sets the tone, and I think the examples we've heard from Paisley in particular this morning, but also other places, very much demonstrates that. But equally, you can't just rely upon your past. Innovation is really important. And one fascinating thing we found was that all these towns we went to all had some innovative kind of businesses, often playing in world markets, but rarely connected with other local businesses and feeding things through. That seemed to be a gap. Public sector, again, is a key provider of employment, not least for women and professional jobs for women. But it's a mixed blessing. Those towns which were very strong on public sector employment also tend to be much weaker on entrepreneurship. So that's a gap to be addressed. One of the messages is around the idea of relocalization. How in a centralizing world do we actually manage to relocalize things, bring back local level activity? And we mentioned things like food networks as one step in that kind of direction. Involve young people, very important. Very often we talk to particularly councillors and says, yeah, there's lots of things to do in the town for young people. You talk to the young people, you get a different answer. So the whole issue about involving young people we put as a very central part of the strategy. Accessibility makes a huge difference. Towns that can access jobs in diverse labour markets, and I think particularly perhaps of Cooper in Fife as an example of this, have got strengths, but with that comes the challenge in terms of accepting housing growth, which is often unpopular. Integrated actions matter. And, for example, one town was promoting itself as a town for long-distance walkers, but just shut down the local public toilets. So one of the issues there of alignment that the Minister was talking of earlier this morning. But the whole issue, again, of things like relocating schools to the edge of the town and then wondering why it is that we've got a town centre problem is also something that we picked up. So coming to the end, it's also important to recognise that we can project this stuff internationally. I've made presentations on our work to a European project over in Belgium, and also next week I'll be talking in China, because they're looking again at what is the future of the smaller towns and how they create a set of places that is going to be places that people want to live in stay in the context, of course, there of vast migrations that they've had. So that's basically my presentation, and it wasn't too bad, hopefully. Thank you.